Hello everyone, I'm Jimson Lee for speedendurance.com, and today's presentation is calculating 400 meter potential in sprinters. Now, as the name implies, speed endurance is about the 400 meters, but it's really the book I never wrote. It has about 1,400 articles, everything from training, nutrition, injury prevention to recovery. So take a look if this is your first time watching this video. Now, a word of warning, because we're talking a lot about theoretical calculations. Here are two statements that you've probably seen in your SAT or GMAT exams. One, if it is a horse, then it has four legs. Two, if it has four legs, then it is a horse. Now, the first statement is true in most cases that I've seen, but the second statement obviously is not correct because it can be a dog, a cat, an elephant. So I'm using examples here and it doesn't work both ways. So just bear with me on these formulas coming up. Let's talk about the 200 to 400 meter potential. Now, the standard equation I've always used over the last 25 years is take your best, season best 200 meter time, double it, and add either 3.5 or 4 seconds. And I do say season best because we're not talking about your PB from last year or 10 years ago. We're talking about what you've run recently, and that can give you an idea of how well you can run the 400. Now, again, you have to have all the training in place, all the speed endurance, the training. You just can't jump in and run a 400. Now, this equation is a bit flawed, and that's why sometimes I like to use a factor of 1.08 or 1.09, which is basically about 8 or 9% of your best 200 meter time. And the golden rule is the faster your 200 time, the faster your 400 time, right? I mean, that's obvious in this math equation. And as far as training goes, the bottom line is really speed, speed reserve, and speed endurance for the 400 meters. Okay, now you said 200. Well, let's work backwards. What's your best 200 meter potential or best 200 time? And I've always used the equation of your best 100 meter time, season best, doubled plus or minus 0.2 seconds. And this works out pretty well for most sprinters. And if it doesn't, then you can actually see where the flaw or the weakness is in the athlete. Maybe he or she lacks speed endurance. Maybe they're just not as quick over 100, but they have great speed endurance and able to hang on. So this is my equation that I've used. Okay, working backwards. Your 60 meter time can actually determine your 100 meter time. And I use 1.53 multiplied by your 60 meter season best, or 1.54, and that sort of gives you a rough time of what you can expect to run the 100. Now, going backwards one more time, your 60 time is based on your 30 time, or even your 40-yard dash time. So it all comes down to your speed. The faster you are, the short speed, it will translate to the upper and longer distances. And once again, I've said this 4 times already, speed reserve is the key. And now, if you're not sure what speed reserve is, it is your top running speed minus your actual running speed. So if you have a great top speed and you're running a little bit slower because you're running more efficiently or you're conservative, well, that difference is called speed reserve. And it's pretty obvious that a better speed reserve means less effort, and that will really translate into your 200 and 400 meters. The best example of an athlete who moved up as a 100 and 200 meter specialist to the 400 would go to Quincy Watts, who won the 1992 Olympic 400 meters. And he was an athlete, and he was always getting injured running 100 or 200. He had hamstring problems, and by moving him up, he got stronger and was able to maintain that speed over 400. Now, because he was a very fast, near 10-point 100-meter sprinter, which meant 20 point for 200, running in 21 high for the opening two with that speed reserve was a walk in the park. Now, we've seen him run, and you've seen the videos, and he just takes off and eats up the entire field by 200 meters, and that's where his speed comes in. And of course, he has to have the strength to hang on, and he does. Okay, these numbers are all complicated, and I went pretty quickly, and it's all on the blog. But anyways, here's a quick table of what you can expect to run based on your extrapolations. And the color bar in the shrimp color are actually my personal best times, and the one in the yellow bar I highlighted as an example for someone who wants to break 50 meters or 50 seconds. And you'll see for the yellow bar, we're looking at 7.4 seconds for 60 meters, and that translates roughly about 11.3, 11.4 for the 100, and 22 mid, 22 high for the 200 in order to break 50 for 400. Now, I've seen half milers who can't even run 24 for 200 come in and run 50. Well, that's a different case. This whole table is strictly for sprinters. Now, this next table is the same as the first, but it's on the upper end of the scale. So if you want to break 60 seconds, which is the second to last line, you're looking at 9.0 for 60, high 13 for 100, 27 mid, 27 high for 2, and that should get you under 60 seconds for the 400 meters. Now here's some homework for you guys. Frank Dick is a very famous coach based out of Great Britain, and he has a landmark document called Development of Maximum Sprinting Speed, and it's on the internet. If you just Google it, just type in track and field news Frank Dick, and it comes up #1 in the Google search. And it's a great document that sort of goes through what I did, much more in detail with some other examples, but he roughly calculates the same kind of methodology used in determining the 400 meter sprint potential in sprinters. And that's it for my presentation on how to calculate the 400 meter potential. For speedendurance.com, I'm Jimson Lee.